Debt is going to erode our ability to maintain our good life. We can't keep on spending on credit card to finance consumption for which we can't afford. It's all going to fall like a house of cards. Yeah. Let's take a gander, shall we? This is from newspapers.com. And my oh my, how I love newspapers.com. This is I got a subscription. I think it cost me $100 a year, and you should get a subscription too if you want to. If you just want to go back in history and the silliness of all the previous negative Nellies that are out there that we're all going to die. I'll share with you why I came up to this article here, but this is Debating the Good Life from Lyle Wilson, the old UPI in 1966. This was, I'm not even sure what day this was, September 1966, I think. Anyway, let me just read you this real quick. So my friendly correspondent scorns the warning shouts of conservative columnists such as Henry Taylor and me, and me being this guy, Lyle Wilson, I presume, that too much of the presently abounding good life is as bogus as a $3 bill. It is bogus because the entire American economy daily becomes more and more dependent on credit card spending. This is a system and individual citizens borrow against future income to splurge far beyond their means. On the cuff has become a way of life, a way which leads finally towards disaster. And this is what Godfrey rejects. Godfrey is the guy who challenged the idea of the abundance. And Godfrey was defending FDR, the New Society or Great Society, New Deal and Great Society. Look, I'm not here to challenge that. I'm just here. It's funny, going back 55 years ago, the same arguments. On the cuff has become a way of life, a way which leads towards disaster if we continue our credit card spending. He cannot or will not believe it. His logical production supervisor's mind came up with a rebuttal so directly to the point that it becomes difficult to answer. Godfrey's mind was outraged by arguments advanced by Henry Taylor, me, and others conservatives that creeping inflation would in the end overwhelm the American way of life. Henry and I often cite the 1939 purchasing power of the U.S. dollar and rate to whittle by today. We cite it as evidence of the dangerous creeping inflation over a period of nearly, 50 years? Yeah, something like that, 40 years, I guess. The 100-cent 1939 dollar has shrunk to the purchasing power of just under 43 cents today. That, again, is in 1966. The 2-bit dollar is on the way. The 2-bit dollar is on the way. Don't doubt it. But Godfrey doubts, and he replied, I constantly hear that the 1939 dollar is now worth only about 35 or 40 cents. Well, so what? In 1939, no one had any dollars. I know, I didn't, nor did any of my friends. Today, I have just a great many available dollars. Just what are good are 1939 dollars if you don't have any? I'd like to know. I'll take today's dollar, and the many more that I have. I couldn't have gone afford in 1939, nor could thousands more who go now. There is an adequate answer to Godfrey's personal experience of currency inflation. It is that the inflation continues. It is shrinking the dollar as you read this piece. Purchasing power goes down, living costs go up. Many, perhaps most retirees are clamoring that they're being swamped in rising living costs. Any dollars Godfrey may have had then when he retired in 1952 have gone through the ringer. The dollar has lost nearly 30 cents in buying power since 1949 and has lost about 11.5 cents since 1959 alone. Those losses represent a brutal levy on private capital, including this guy's capital. Anyway, the interesting thing is I take issue with both sides. I absolutely do. Godfrey says, look, I got more dollars. Say, well, so don't the Venezuelans, so don't the Zimbabweans. They don't buy crap. That's the issue. Inflation is devastating for sure. I also take issue with the conservative argument, though, that says it is bogus because basically the American economy of 1966. Remember the good times when we all had pensions. We all worked for the corporate America and everyone's just happy. Oh, it's so great. This is what the naysayers today want you to think. That in the 60s was so happy. Everyone had pensions. Everyone retired securely to the suburban houses with a GE pension. But even back then, this guy's saying that was bogus because the entire American economy daily becomes more and more dependent on credit card spending. This is a system, an individual citizens borrow against future income to splurge far beyond their means, and it will eventually lead towards disaster. Now, I just take issue with both these sides, without question. You shouldn't be spending on credit cards. I'm telling you right now, credit card will leave you into poverty, will leave you into slavery. I 100% get that. But we hear the same arguments today. Right? We hear the same exact arguments today that we cannot, where the dollar is going to collapse, we're spending too much on debt, the inflation, which they did. I'm telling you, inflation is the bugaboo we have to contend with for sure. But I'm not worried about it at all. Not with the demographics that we're faced with. I'm just not. I mean, a little bit of inflation, I'd rather have. I don't know what I'd rather have. 2% inflation works just fine for me. I mean, it does erode the value of the dollar, but hopefully you can get more than 2% by investing in a good portfolio of high quality stocks. But at the end of the day, back then, the inflation was high. And then we went to 73 and 74 in the 70s. It was horrific, much so than any debt that we had. But at the end of the day, the facts are many people survived just fine in America. And what this guy was saying, the Godfrey guy, who is the liberal, was arguing rightly so that government spending helped many middle Americans be able to afford vacations in Florida, and actually second homes in Florida, where they would not have had the resources to do before. I don't have any qualm with that argument, none whatsoever. I absolutely do believe that healthcare, that Medicare, or not Medicare, but Social Security played a huge role into stabilizing the economy for many Americans, middle and low income Americans, to be able to do things in retirement later. I think you have to attribute a lot of that to World War II, the devastation it caused on our competitors in Russia and Europe, and we were the only game in town, and you can't expect that to happen again. But the same arguments on both apply. You can't say, I got more dollars today, so I'm living largely. That's silly in of itself. On top of that, you can't sit there and say, oh my goodness, we're all dead because of all this credit card spending. That's silly in of itself too. There is a middle road, my friends. Find the middle road and take it. And what that middle road is precisely, I don't know. Frank, I'd say at the end of the day, don't spend on credit cards. Pay down your credit cards. Once you're in a place you can reduce your credit card expenditures, you absolutely should. Credit cards can lead to insolvency quicker than anything. But with that said, don't have this mentality that the economy as a whole is built on credit card spending, and we're all going to blow up because people all suddenly stop spending on credit cards. That's just nuts. And we see the same argument was made 55 years ago, before this guy was even born. All right, we'll see you.